attorneys for plaintiffs groups in the case against Illinois' gun and magazine ban, they are filing with the Southern District of Illinois an amendment to their complaints that the state's gun and magazine ban and registry violates the Constitution on several grounds. So attorneys for the plaintiffs groups have said, Illinois, the cavalry's coming. And that's a Twitter post that was made late yesterday. And we'll obviously be touching on that in just moments. But also yesterday, I did touch base with several individuals on this issue of the low turnout for the firearm registry. And we talked about this yesterday, just 8%. Let me walk that back, just 0.8%. Let me walk that back even further. It's even fewer than that, 0.08%. And I know I've seen the number. Listen, the number has been bounced around. People say, no, it's 0.008%. You got to work in the percentage. All right. You got to move that decimal point over several times. So again, just to be clear, it's less than 0.5%. All right. You're talking less than 0.5%. Just 0.08% of Illinois gun owners. Here's something else that's important to understand. Not every gun owner in the state of Illinois has a semi-automatic firearm. All right, but there's 2.4 million firearm owner identification card holders, and of that, around 2,000 or so have actually filed with state police to say that they have these banned firearms. So that's where you get that number. All right, it's not necessarily a full compliance rate. It's really just a way to say that just 0.08% of Illinois gun owners that are registered with the state as gun owners as a firearm owner identification card holder have actually registered banned firearms just in the first 3 weeks. So I got response from State Representative Blaine Wilhauer and State Representative Maura Hirschauer, both sides of the aisle here, both sides of the issues here, and here's what they had to say when it comes to how they feel about the low percentage of people who have applied for registering their firearms through state police, and whether or not there's going to have to be more of an effort to actually get the word out. So here are those two lawmakers, Blaine Wilhauer and Maura Hirschauer.
I mean, the folks that own guns in the state of Illinois know that this initiative is unconstitutional, and I've been pretty clear all along that, non-compliance to something that's non-constitutional is an appropriate stance to take, and I think you're seeing that with gun owners across the state.
Well, with any policy we pass in Illinois, education and public awareness is a critical component of that. I'm really impressed with the way that the Illinois State Police has been working with the public and also taking some time to make sure that the information they're putting out there is correct and clear. And I feel confident that we will get the word out to all Illinoisans and that we will safely follow the law that we passed.
There's just a lot of uncertainty on what they're even supposed to do. They've, the governor certainly put the state police in a pretty tough situation. There's a lot of uncertainty. We can't get clear answers from the state police on any of these compliance issues. And what are they actually going to do to demand compliance on this? That's a pretty tricky situation for them, for sure.
So pretty tricky situation as you've got more questions concerning just exactly how this is going to be enforced and really how it's going to be interpreted because there's still questions about the vagueness of this. So that's just some reaction to the low percentage turnout for those registering. Again, 0.08% of firearms owners have registered a banned firearm with state police 3 weeks into the registry. Now, the registry closes January 1st, and those who don't register and you're found out of compliance, if the law is not struck down by the courts, you could face a Class A misdemeanor or second and subsequent offense, a Class 3 felony or greater. So obviously there's a deadline here fast approaching, but you've got lawsuits that were filed months ago in the Southern District and the Northern District, those competing districts with different opinions being put together in the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. The 7th Circuit Court of Appeals still sitting on a possible ruling on the Second Amendment challenge of those consolidated cases in the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. But if you remember, several weeks ago, Thomas Magg, he took his case, the Langley case, put it back into the Southern District, and instead of arguing the Second Amendment charges out of the 7th Circuit in the Southern District of Illinois with Judge Stephen McGlynn, he argued vagueness. So that happened several weeks ago. We covered that. But now we've got another plaintiffs group for the federal firearms licensees of Illinois announcing that, yes, indeed, they are also going to be seeking further action in the Southern District because of this fast approaching deadline for people to register their firearms. So if you are on X and you're tracking the Second Amendment issues, I would definitely encourage you to go and follow Costas Morris. And he posted yesterday, attention Illinois residents, we've heard your concerns about the looming registration deadline. The cavalry's coming. We will be filing a motion to leave to amend our complaint momentarily. They filed that. He goes on to say, despite there being no Seventh Circuit U.S. appeals court ruling yet, and despite the fact, regardless of who prevails there, the ruling will be appealed, either SCOTUS or en banc, Illinois insists on moving forward with its January 1st registration deadline. Thus, we are forced to amend our complaints to challenge registration specifically. Now, what's interesting is I thought maybe the challenge, and I'm not an attorney, I don't know the best legal strategy, so I'll leave it up to the attorneys, but the Fifth Amendment arguments are something that I thought was possibly going to come up. Maybe that's keeping the powder dry, so to speak. Maybe that's the attorney saying, hey, we'll pursue the Fifth Amendment argument because Thomas Magg does originally have that argument already filed. It's already briefed up. That's why he was able to bring the vagueness challenge, as he did several weeks ago, saying it was already briefed up. So you have the Southern District of Illinois already dealing with the vagueness issue, but now federal firearms licensees of Illinois attorneys are pushing to have their original complaint amended. So they argued that registration's unconstitutional. The attorney here, Costas Morris, he says, we argue the registration's unconstitutional because it violates the Second Amendment. There's no historical tradition of registering common firearms. This specific registration requirement's also unconstitutional on due process grounds because it has vague myriad reasons the amended complaint discusses. Further, there's sufficient notice. Insufficient notice. And here I think it is important to stop and pause on just a moment. Insufficient notice. Listen, not everybody follows the minutia of what's going on at the Illinois State House. I get paid to do that. My full-time job with the Center Square and Illinois Radio Network. That's what I do for a living. This right here, I mean, you're in my home right now. I've welcomed you into my home, so I'm doing this kind of just hanging out. It's early morning. I'm used to getting up early, reading the news, having some coffee and my green powder drink with a wonderful Bishop on Air glass, by the way. Got stickers. All right, we're going to figure out something. I know some people out there got the patches, and some of you even the patches got lost in the mail, which is bizarre. I'll have to share that story. So anyways, talk about that. Totally off topic. But let's get back to it because specifically, the attorney says that those rules, they're not being conveyed properly. And there's really insufficient notice. And I think that's important. Yesterday, I asked a lot of you if you've received any written communication from Illinois State Police by mail as to you being a firearm owner identification card holder. Have you been noticed by mail that you have to register these firearms or face criminal penalties? Now, I'll have to dig through the actual text of the law. I don't think it's required that happens, that Illinois State Police does that, but you would think common courtesy would be to notify law-abiding citizens by mail, specifically addressed to them, that they have to register. So I asked Illinois State Police yesterday if they plan on doing that or if they have done that. Have not heard back. Reached somebody, they said they'll get back to me, but I have yet to hear back as to if indeed they have sent out or are going to send out these official notices. So insufficient notice, I think, is one of the arguments here that the attorney's making. Goes on to say, the law passed at the beginning of the year, but we only got the Illinois police rules implementing registration in mid-September. Those rules failed to clarify the vagueness issue in the underlying law. Many people in Illinois probably don't know about the registration requirements, or if they are aware of it, they may not know that what must be registered isn't limited to complete firearms. The law applies to various parts and even individual 50 caliber BMG cartridges. This confusion may be part of the reason exceedingly few people have registered thus far, in addition to others not complying on principle. So Judge McGlynn, Stephen McGlynn, he's going to be busy here. The attorney goes on to say that if the court grants leave to amend, and we expect it will, because it's going to the Southern District again, not in the Seventh Circuit. The attorney says that we will bring a new motion for preliminary injunction to Judge McGlynn. Our hope is to have the court either declare registration unconstitutional and enjoin it, or at least order the deadline delayed for now until litigation on the core ban is complete. So clearly, there's a strategy here, and it's a multi-pronged strategy. As we've heard, you've got cases from the Southern District that were all combined, cases in the Northern District that were separate, but after different rulings where the Southern District enjoined the law from being enforced, Northern District upheld the law. You had the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals smash those together, consolidate those cases, hear that case on June 28th. They haven't issued a ruling yet. That's on the Second Amendment grounds. Now we've got the deadline approaching for the registration, and you've got concerns being raised and filings being made, and indeed that filing was made yesterday by the federal firearms licensees of Illinois. Plaintiffs on behalf of various gun stores and individuals and so on. So I think that it's something that, here we are. We'll be tracking all of this each and every morning for you. I'm just going to check my notes here to see what else I may have lined up. Obviously, you've got the filing being made, motion to file an amended complaint in the Southern District. We'll watch what happens. But I did do just an overview of all the other cases that we've been tracking so far, and not much other movement in the Seventh Circuit, of course, still waiting, and even in the Southern District for the Langley case that Thomas Magg had, still waiting on a ruling there. But it's McGlynn in the Southern District that's also now being asked to allow for an amended complaint from the federal firearms licensees that were part of this original consolidated caseload in the Southern District that McGlynn already has issued a preliminary injunction on. There's a lot there. Hopefully it makes some sense. I know sometimes when I'm watching YouTube videos, I kick it on to double speed, but you might actually have to slow it down a little bit, maybe at 0.75, just to try to keep up with all that's going on there. So plenty to tackle. Obviously, we're going to be busy following all of this. Like, subscribe, follow. I'm Greg Bishop, live here on YouTube each and every weekday morning. Around 7:30ish, 7:35 or so, we go live, but we also clip things out, and you can follow along. Just search Bishop on Air, okay? Bishop on Air. Make it happen.